Well, we got to have a hymn.
You
Because,
gotta have it.
it's
Are you singing?
Well, it's time for that conscious connection church. Or, you know, so of course today's topic is going to be about validation, um, and what we found in connection about getting validated. Um, it's quite a deep topic, but we're going to try to be as simple as possible. Because we kind of, again, welcome to church. Yeah, I know, but churches, this kind of thing can be every day. It doesn't necessarily have to be on a Sunday. And we finally realized that, you know what? We need to have something where you can just go and you can listen, you can feel what you need to feel and get something from it. So that's the whole purpose of this. We were talking about how sometimes we carry these hurts. And some of the hurts that you're carrying, whether it be from childhood, whether it be from your teenage years, whether it be as a young adult, or even if you're just finding this and you're carrying hurt right now, how do you validate the hurt you? Is a good way to really look at this. We've noticed in connection to each other that we have inherited this ability to be in our connection, and we still have hurts from family, from growing up, that actually still find a way into the connection and disconnect ourselves from each other in the connection. Notice we said to ourselves first, because that is the primary. You'll let people connect to you based on how you've been hurt. And, you know, most people will say, well, I've created boundaries. Well, when did boundaries heal anything? I think, you know, boundaries don't necessarily heal. They just create a new way that you can endure the hurt.
We feel they protect. That's it. We feel they protect. Boundaries protect.
Right. But when did protection lead to healing?
Right.
When did that ever happen?
Right. So most of us walk around with titanium walls, with a steel wall around it, with a copper wall around that, with another titanium level. And then there's a level of ice, pretty thick ice around.
Yeah.
And then
you get the chiseling like Ice Age.
Yeah.
And most of the time we're like the rat, you know. We're the one trying to carry the nut.
Searching for the nut.
Searching for the nut. I'm sorry. That probably,
That went.
Yeah, but it was the way you said it. It's the way you said it. I know you. I know why you said it. Anyway, the nut.
This is church.
Okay, you're right.
You can't even act right in church.
Hey, look.
What's wrong with you?
I didn't go there. So, all right, validation.
Were you one of those kids that passed notes?
No.
Wrote notes back and forth to each other, passed notes back?
I did that in third grade. I did that, yes, no, or maybe.
I mean in church.
In church, no. No, in church, I was just constantly in trouble.
For passing notes?
No, for laughing.
About passing notes?
No, about putting tacks in people's pews. But that's a whole other different story. But anyway, we're talking about how you, in connection, want to validate how you're disconnected from before you want to validate how you're connected to. And this hurt that you're probably carrying probably tells you why they can't love you, or tells you why they don't want you, or why they don't choose you, or why they're with somebody else. There's a constant long line list of reasons why you don't experience connection. You had this free point in connection, but then all of the old thought patterns show back up from a hurt that you didn't know you needed to heal because you disconnected from you. We've seen this in various ways in our connection, various ways in others' connections, but ultimately you keep looking for the answers of how to connect outside of you, but you don't see that maybe sometimes you validate how they disconnected from you before you validate how they will connect to you. And when they don't choose you, it's the same wound. You keep looking at it from the same angle. You keep experiencing it the same way. And this is where we've seen a lot of child or inner child wounds, because that child is still going unconnected to. not just from outside of you, but deep within you. Your ability to be vulnerable will be found in this space. We've seen it from ages 2 to probably 14. It's a very vast range, because once you get hurt and once you lose your ability to stay vulnerable, how do you receive love? Then the question then becomes, how do you give it? And usually what you find is this is where you either showed up in the world as a people pleaser, or you showed up in the world as a doormat, looking for ways that people are going to step on you before you look for ways for where they're not going to step on you. And you'll validate that. You'll validate the hurt to make sense of the hurt, but not make sense of you. We both went through that. We even with what we're going through now, we still go through that. There's some pretty deep things that I can share my personal experience with this. I blame myself for a lot of things over the years, and I really blame myself for not being there to understand those I was connected to, understand what happened, why I felt disconnected from. I didn't spend time focusing on me. I focused on the disconnect. And you know, that can start doing a lot of different things, whether it be, you know, you just keep trying to find other people to cover what you're not doing for yourself. You find people that will, and this is, I think, where we realize that Relationship Reinvented need to be created, because you will find relationships based off your disconnects. That's what a relationship is there for. You'll find somebody who can ignore the disconnects with you. You'll find a relationship where they're going to challenge your disconnects. But then you have a connection that shows up beyond relationship that bypasses everything and goes straight to your hurt. And this is our biggest fear when it comes to being loved, is that hurt is going to go unanswered again. So we create a way to make sure that it's being unanswered again. And this, I'm trying to stay very simple. I don't want to go too deep, but if you really search what you really feel when it comes to having a connection, somebody connecting to you, have you ever experienced what that is when you try to do it for yourself? Because you're only going to let somebody as far as what you give yourself. And if you just kind of circle around your hurt, and then you find a way to just protect your hurt, and then you find a way to keep your hurt safe, that's nothing more than prison. And that prison will create the same kind of experience in every connection that you experience. We've seen people run so far away from connection, they didn't even know they were running. And I tell you, we can feel that hurt because we know that hurt
We've
very
done
well.
it.
Yeah.
Run so far from connection.
Yeah. I don't think you ever really figure out how to stop running once you started, because you know who you are when you're running, but do you know who you are when you stop? And after you stop, do you know how to receive? And then after you receive, do you know how to put it in a space where you can heal? When you give that responsibility to, let's say, a person you're connected to, you will attack them every single time they come near your hurt, not on purpose. And even when you, like we were really talking, we've really been talking about this energy that's still between us since 2005, even a little bit before. And we both went through that. What am I doing with my life? Why don't I have this big love? Or why don't I have this? You know what it is in you. And you keep looking, and then
it's almost undescribable.
It was interesting how you came out after your reset and you said, you know what? I'm going to find my big love. This was before you ran into, we had a collision. And it was kind of a collision because I was thinking about my life during that point. And I was just really, I guess the best word for it is empty. I mean, and then I was telling her that like a few months before we actually met in December of 2004, I had the dream of just having this kiss that just wasn't from this world. Wasn't from, and it was I was on a couch and it was there. And when it happened, real time, I went, okay, yeah, I've lost my mind. I'm dreaming about shit that's happening. Not happening than dreaming shit. You know what I mean? Because that's usually the order in which things happen.
Right.
You'll have something happen, then you'll dream about it. But you never have something where you dream about it, then you have it. And then when you try to explain that to people, that's the part where you feel really off, because when it doesn't happen to you, you don't understand why it's going to happen to you. You don't understand when it's actually happening to you. It's almost like an out-of-body experience, but it's a very in-body feeling. I guess when you're really looking for what you validate, are you validating your experience, or are you validating your present moment? Wow, it's at 11:11. Right as I said that. Gee, wow.
That won't be on the video.
No, but you saw it and I saw it. Like,
Yeah,
it just did that, just like real time right now.
I've noticed that it happens a lot with me now that I'm finding myself in a health situation, where when it comes to, man, I'm not a vulnerable person. I never have been. Mm-hmm. Right? There's obvious boundaries and layers, and those of you who have seen our story and know us know that, you know, there was good reasons for my boundaries, and then releasing those boundaries. But when it comes to family and people around me with this, the disconnect is very present. Very present.
Yeah.
Disconnect not only from me, but from themselves.
Yeah.
And reality. I think the disconnect is from reality.
Yeah. I would agree to that.
Like, sometimes you wonder what world we can't possibly live in the same world.
No.
And that makes you think and wonder, well, is it me? Am I the one in the different world? Am I the one who thinks and feels differently? Or is it the majority? Right? Yeah. Am I the odd one out?
Right.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
You begin to wonder.
Yeah.
Like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Maybe that's not it. Maybe I'm really awake. Right?
Yeah.
And that's where the disconnect comes in. And obviously I'm not all the way awake. Who is? You know what I mean? And that would be floating around the earth, and I don't,
well,
you know what I mean?
I've noticed the thing about awake, and you help me really, I mean, the alien way I'm going to say it is, you can probably translate a little bit better than this, but aren't you really truly awake when you're most vulnerable?
Right. When you're most vulnerable.
Most vulnerable.
Yes.
And if you've been, what were we taught about being vulnerable?
Or shut that shit down.
And this is what you will continue to validate.
Mm-hmm.
You'll continue to validate that your vulnerability won't be accepted. Your vulnerability won't be gone without you experiencing some form of hurt. And usually what happens is when we lose our vulnerability, we lose our ability to receive love. We lose our ability to stop being a people pleaser. We lose a bunch of things right off of that, and then we validate that in this connection. We validate how we're not going to be connected to for our vulnerable selves.
Or we keep trying to validate it in this connection.
And you don't show up vulnerable. You've lost your ability to be vulnerable with yourself first. You didn't lose that with the person you're connected to. And they just will remind you of that, because as soon as they get closer, that's when those thought patterns show up. This is, They may not love who I really am. They may not love what they see inside of me. They may not connect to me because this is what I lost before and I can't trust it again. This is when you let the past validate your ability to be hurt. How's that not just more trauma? How's that just not more not healing? How's that more disconnect? So I guess when you validate your disconnects, are you validating it so you can stay connected to your disconnect? Or are you validating it as to the reason why you won't connect to yourself first in connection? Love doesn't need an answer. Love needs you. And love, the main ingredient, will be vulnerability. And as long as you stay disconnected from that, who are you trying to give to the person you're connected to? How are you experiencing connection? And I get it. There's a lot to go through to get to that space. But why haven't you already if you're looking for connection? Wouldn't you need that part to be connected to? I guess if you're conscious of this, you'll see all the unconsciousness that the hurt caused you is your disconnect, not someone else's. And why would you let somebody love you if you're not vulnerable? And why do you keep validating that in this connection? It shows up in the form of obsession without it. You'll keep pointing at how they're not choosing you to be pointing out how you don't choose yourself. And every single time you go over there to see what they're up to, or you go on social media and you're looking for them, you're validating how they're not choosing you. You're not validating how you're not choosing yourself. You're doing that just fine. But how long have you been doing that? And who are you doing that for? How are you loving you and staying connected to you without your vulnerability? Your ability to be loved and love. You know, we have an awakened connection, but we still have issues where we go to sleep. We didn't say it was easy. We just said, how is your focus? Because without that focus, you expect to be hurt. And don't worry, you'll get your expectations met because you're leaving yourself hurt.
That's so powerful.
It's hard to do.
It's very hard to do.
And, I think the issue is that the mind that's been training you to do this, because you already trained your mind to show up when you're disconnected from, your mind is then taught how to train you to suffer. And it's because you know who you are when you're suffering. Do you know who you are when you're not? You're allowed to love you. You're allowed to love your vulnerability. What kind of permission are you giving yourself in this moment?
Thank you guys so much for showing up for church today. We will be back next week, but in the meantime, Patreon. Boy, are you guys gonna get dumped on today. I'm gonna just empty it out.
It's been
on you today. Sorry about that.
It happens.
Yeah, it happens. Other than that, guys, all of you watching, throw Tropidelic some love. They're the ones that are singing the church song here and the Hey Now song. All the intro songs here. Tropidelic out of Cleveland, Ohio. Throw them some love on their pages, on their YouTube. Awesome. Support your local musicians. And thank you for tuning in. Show up on our regular YouTube. We will be throwing some stuff out there.
And if you want to talk to us, you can get a free 30-minute gift if you've never sat with us, so we could help you heal something very deep, but very powerful. There's a 30-minute free gift on our scheduling. It's leeandcherryscheduling.as.me.
Us? AS.
It's Lee and Sherry Scheduling, all together. .as.
AS.
.me.
ME.
Yeah, we just made that easier. But anyway,
I
we're
think
also
we can actually.
yeah
I think we can put on there, book your shit.
yeah yeah.
Can we say shit in church?
Fuck,
That's ours.
Fuck, I don't.
What's your mouth?
I'm not in trouble.
Yeah, you
We want to
are.
give a shout out. Give a shout out, K Moon. We want to give a shout out to Sandra and Ellen, Eileen and Trevor, fucking Danny, Devin Nicole, and all of you out there for staying connected to us through this. The healing is being felt. The healing is being given.
All your prayers. Thank you so
Yes.
much.
Yeah, absolutely.
All of your amazing gifts. We've got some awesome stuff going to be showcasing you guys that's really been helping me. Some amazing CBD products, some awesome soaps,
Yes.
some products that
You guys have been sending.
that yeah, they're sending, and if you're interested in having your products featured, we're going to be doing that as well. So
Are we doing them like commercials?
we are.
It's gonna be really
Wait,
cool.
there's more.
Yes, we're gonna do that, but at the same time, we still want you to have Lee and Sherry, and we're not personas of any kind, but we are connected. And we really, I have to say, I value this connection because it showed me to value my own first. Till next time, we love you guys. See you soon.
All I hear is hey now, the children are awake. Come on, stop. Children, what's that sound? Something's in your way, go and burn it down. Stop. Children, what's that sound? Something's in your way, go and burn it down. Say, hey now, the children are awake now. Pipe down. It's more than they can say or take down. If they don't catch a breakdown, break down. All I hear is hey now, the children are awake now. Pipe down. It's more than they can say or take down. If they don't catch a breakdown, break down. All I hear is hey now, the children are awake.